Okay, in the interest of time, we will kick off. Welcome again to everybody. For those of you that have joined in the last couple of minutes, there's a few people still filing in, and we will no doubt have them coming in for a few more minutes yet. But we'll kick off today. Again, good morning or afternoon, depending on where you are in the country. Welcome to our third masterclass for BT Wrap Migration. My name's Tim Rogers. I'm Head of Advisor Migration for BT, and it's my pleasure to host you today through our third masterclass, which predominantly will be presented by David Giltrap, our Senior Training Manager, as he runs through the wealth of resources available when using Panorama. As many of you, for the first time, will be moving across to Panorama as part of this migration. Some of you are already just starting to use Panorama, and others are far more advanced in the use of Australia's leading contemporary platform, BT Panorama. Okay, so we'll kick this off and we'll flow through. So my focus today will be just initially how we're supporting your clients through migration, and that'll be how we support your clients and support you to support your clients through migration. So Dave will run through a few of the benefits, etc., that you can, or the tools available to you to use. So if you have any colleagues who miss out on today's session, we will be recording and making it available on our migration webpage, and that's along with all the previous webinars. So if you haven't seen some of those, or you did see it and you'd just like a recap, then you can go to our migration webpage, the Migration Hub, where all of the information with respect to migration is. So today our aim is to provide you with the information that you will need to prepare your practice for migration. And we're going to cover key issues through registration process for your clients, the benefits of Panorama, so you can better understand that and how to demonstrate that, and supporting you in your practice and your team, and supporting your clients as you work through this migration with us. If you've got any questions today, please do pop them in the Q&A box down the right-hand side. We welcome all the questions. We seek to address them all during the session. We'll have a question and answer session at the end with our panel. But if you don't have, if we don't get to your question, or if you've stumped us and we need to get back to you, then we absolutely will, and we follow through on those questions as we have done in previous. And we post those answers, and we also make sure we get that answer back to you. So please pop your questions in the Q&A. Sometimes we answer them as we go through, as you preempt something that we're going to cover. But as I said, we'll endeavour to get to all of those questions at the end of our session. If I could just make sure everybody, I think everyone is, but if you could just make sure you're all on mute, that's good, so we don't have any background noise coming through, and that helps everybody to hear everything that's being presented today. So welcome, thanks again for your time. We aim to stay on time, and we'll be finished in the hour that we've allotted for this, as we know that everyone is busy and time is of utmost value. So, okay, let's get right into it. So recap of the migration journey. If we just flick to our next slide, I'll take you through three slides, if you like. First of all, the preparation activity. So if we have a look at what migration is as such, from our perspective, then it's a move of wrap accounts from the old operating system, being wrap, which is some 20 plus years old, to Panorama, being the new contemporary platform. And we're going to do that, as you can imagine, it's a very large business, with tens of thousands of clients, billions of dollars of funds under administration, and we want to do that in 4 key tranches. So our first tranche, very much our pilot tranche, was successful in December last year, where we moved advisor clients across from wrap to Panorama, and we developed our understanding of that process, further developed our understanding, and have basically been able to embed our learnings into making sure that tranche 2 addresses some of those challenges that we saw, and also from a readiness and business preparation perspective, we've learnt a lot as well, and been able to develop some really key tools, templates for communication, advisor practice checklists for you to use as well, and all of those are located on the Advisor Hub. Okay, so tranche 1, December 2020, as I said. Tranche 2 is our next tranche, and that's coming up at the end of March. So that's our next tranche, and all of our readiness activities have been finalised for that, with notifications going out to those of you who have clients in that, in terms of a pre-notice of the SEN or client migration notice, significant event notice, so you've had access to that and can see what your clients will be receiving at the tail end of next week for tranche 2. Tranche 3 coming up is slated for late April. Of course, we have contingency dates for all of these tranche dates, because it is a very large and complex migration, and if we need to adjust that date, then we'll communicate that to you as always as soon as possible. But at this stage, tranche 3 slated for the end of April, tranche 4 end of May, wrapping up in June, so that our migration will be completed and everyone moved from the RAP platform to BT Panorama by the 1st of July 2021. Ready for the new financial year. Okay, so in terms of the progress and the experience as such, we'll look at it in two ways for yourself. So communications per tranche, what comms go out from us to you and clients, so that you're clear on that, and also what are the key activities for your practice, and then we'll dig into those a little bit more in a minute and run through those before I pass on to Dave. Giltrap. Okay, so the advisor communications per tranche as such as the advisor notification email. So with respect to tranche 2, as I mentioned, that has already gone out to you. So if you have clients in tranche 2, that would have been notified, that email would have been sent to you. In that was a link to the client migration notice, which is really the only communication in effect migration that your clients will receive from us. And this is a legislative requirement, and it's a detailed document in 3 parts with a cover letter, the key information contained in the second part, and then a fee favourability assessment. And we did run through in one of our previous webinars the details with respect to that back in December. So again, if you want to have a look at that, if you'd missed that, please go back and watch that recorded link, which is on the migration website. Okay, so the client migration notice goes out to your clients. There's a reminder which goes out to you as advisors pre the tranche date of migration, and then confirmation post that for yourselves and for the clients post the migration weekend. Remembering that we're processing these migration tranches over a weekend. So effectively on Friday, your clients that are on RAP will be there at close of business, and then over the weekend we will migrate them and their accounts and details and FUA, funds under administration, to Panorama, so that on Monday you'll log in and they will be there, and then clients will be able to register and get access to that. So then the main communication flags. Activities for your practice are key. So what do you need to be doing in preparation for migration? Updating client data is very important. And there's two components to that. One is wherever there's a gap. So what we've done is taken all the information that we have for your clients on RAP, and then we've moved that across and sort that from both online, from all of our historical documents that you've sent in, from many public sources where we can get that, so that we've collated for you all the information that we need to set up a new Panorama account for your clients. Where there's a gap, so where we don't have any of that information from you, then we send you out a spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet will go to your practice champion in your practice. So we'll get in touch with you if we haven't already. We certainly should have. If not, please give us a call, and that'll come out to you, and then simply need to fill in the blanks. So basically add the data that's missing, and then that comes back to us through a secure file share portal, which will basically give you a code that you can log in. You can upload that file into that for a period of 2 days that remains open, and then that secure portal closes and we have that information for you. So security of information paramount to us. Okay, so that's the key thing in terms of data. Registering for Panorama is vital. If you are not registered for Panorama yet, can I please ask that you give that utmost attention, because for our tranche 3 date, which is a huge number of the badges of BT RAP, that's closing quickly. So the end date for that is coming up within a couple of weeks. So we really need to get you registered if you haven't registered already for Panorama. The reason for that is that then gives you your Panorama login and your ID. And what we do is we map all of the F codes, and you'll know, for those of you that have been using RAP for a while, every version of RAP, every badge of RAP, you have a different F code and login for those. One of the beauties of migration and the synergies, benefits and efficiencies for you will be that we'll map all of those F codes as per your desire to your Panorama ID. In that instance, you'll then be able to have all of your clients in that one space with that one login, with all of your practice able to see them as you require in terms of limiting access or gaining access to that. So we need to map all those clients and make sure all of those various F codes all point into your Panorama ID, which you'll get when you register. So they're the critical pieces of activity, if you like, for you to be ready for migration. Next one is communicating to your clients, and we've learned through our interaction with practices in tranche one, our pilot practices, that early communication to their clients from them was essential and really did help set their clients' minds at ease and help them prepare their clients for in the end, what was a very seamless migration for them from RAP to Panorama. Some templates of that type of communication via email or via mail, depending on your client's preferences, are on our website. So please go in and have a look at those, free to use, and use all the information that's in there and available for you to communicate out to your clients. And then the other one is completing training, which is really important for those of you that haven't used Panorama or just use it a little bit, haven't fully explored what's available to you in terms of the ways to manage clients. And Dave will go through a little bit of that in a moment for you. So finally, from me, just digging down into that migration experience a little bit more, we'll just click on to the next slide and you can see what migration actually looks like. So we've announced migration, obviously. It was formally announced last July. The updating client details on RAP, as I said, the RAP, the gaps in that client data, we need to post that out. But also the second part that you can play in that along the way is logging onto the desktop on RAP and making sure that the information that's in there for your clients is accurate. Often clients change mobiles and email addresses, for example, and we update it in our CRM or our financial planning software, but we don't always go and update it on the platform that the client may use. So a really big tip, one that came out from the pilot tranche, tip number one is make sure all of your client details that you have in RAP are actually up to date and current, as well as completing those gaps. Register, register, register. Can't emphasize that enough. If you're not registered yet, you need to get registered and get onto that today. If you can, get in touch with us and we'll make that as simple and straightforward as possible for you. Then we'll actually be in communication with you to say, okay, so here's your F codes, or you may have 1 or 5 or 10, depending on how many versions of RAP that you've used or inherited from picking up clients, new clients. We need to map all of those F codes to your Panorama ID to make sure that on that Monday post migration, that all of your clients will show under your Panorama login. Clients are informed of migration. As we said, we do that migration notice around about 30 days out, but we give you, the advisor, 7 days notice of that going out, and we give your dealer group 14 days notice of that going out. So you'll be well and truly notified in advance of that information and what that looks like going out to your clients. Then we give a confirmation to you that migration is going ahead. So all of our full tests and runs and checks are all lined up, and we're confident that we're going ahead. So we'll give you that confirmation. Then we have the migration weekend. So that's the journey, if you like. The preparation part towards the left there is where we're at the moment. We really encourage you to do that, to maximise the benefits and the outcome, the positive outcomes of this for you and for your clients, because every client is being migrated across. As I said, by the end of June, all clients will be migrated from RAP to Panorama. So we want to make that the best possible experience for yourself and your practice, and also your clients as possible. So we're here. Let us know what we can do, and we have the full resources. You have the full backing of BT behind you and your practice to assist you as needed with respect to this. Okay, so that's a little insight and a few minutes just on migration and preparation and readiness for your practice. I'll now pass over to Dave Giltrap, Senior Training Manager with our Platforms and Investment team, to work through a few of those training sessions and things available to you. Start kicking off with the registration process for your clients. Dave, over to you. Thank you.
Great. Thanks very much, Tim. Just check the audio is coming through okay?
It is, yes.
Nice and clear. Wonderful. Okay. Hello to everyone, and thanks for joining us for today's migration masterclass, and this being number 3. Now, today's webinar is very much about your clients. So, look, what's their experience going to be in migrating from RAP to Panorama? So, we're firstly going to look at what the registration process is for them to gain online access to Panorama, and then we'll turn our attention to, I guess, the Panorama features from a client perspective that are essentially over and above those that they've been enjoying with BT RAP up until now. So let's look at the online registration process now, and maybe next slide. Thanks, Matt. Great. So in the first instance, your migrating clients will receive an email with their instructions to register for online access to Panorama and their account. So just a note, if your client is a Westpac customer who uses Westpac online banking, they may already be set up for BT Panorama online access. The email will clearly state if this is the case, and these clients can simply log into Westpac online banking on a desktop and click onto the BT Panorama account tile. Now, for clients who do need to register for online access, the email will include the instructions. You can see on screen here a sample, and there will be a unique registration code. So 2 ways that your clients can do this. By far the easiest way will be for them to click on the verify your email link. This will take your client to the registration screen ultimately, and the unique registration code will actually pre-populate for the client to proceed. Alternatively, and you can see there outlined, the client can also go into the Panorama investor.com.au site as detailed and enter their details, including the registration code themselves if they wish to. It's really up to your client, but the verify your email link will be the quickest and easiest method for them to register. Now, if your client doesn't receive an email, it is likely that we don't have an email address on file. If this happens to be the case, please contact our Panorama support team for assistance in that regard. I'll talk a little bit shortly as well about the implications if your client doesn't register for online Panorama access, but we'll talk about that just in a moment. And the next slide, oh, sorry. Actually, we'll go back again, thanks. Maybe, yeah, no, sorry, 1 forward, thanks, Matt. Yep. So assuming your client does verify their email, come into the screen that you see here. Registration code's already been, actually just 1 back, sorry, Matt. Yep, that's it. So the registration code's been pre-populated for the client. They've already verified their own email address. If they didn't verify their email address, they'd have a very similar screen. However, they need to enter the code themselves. In either case, they'll enter their last name, residential postcode, and then select verify details. Again, if there's any issues at all for your client, they can call the 1300 number that you can see there in blue, and for help. The process is quite straightforward. So the final step for your clients on this, actually we can go 1 screen forward, thanks, Matt. Yep. Okay, so this is where they will obtain their online Panorama registration. So they'll select their own username and password that they'll use to access Panorama online, and also via the Panorama mobile app that we'll consider a bit further in just a moment. So there's online guidance, as you can see, and this is all around security guidelines for the password, but fairly standard considerations in terms of maintenance of online passwords. Once the client has selected their username and password, they can select sign in, and we'll just go into the next slide, Matt. And that's it. It really is that simple for your client to gain online access to their Panorama account and everything that comes with that. And I think for your clients that might have multiple accounts as part of the RAP to Panorama migration, they'll just have 1 Panorama login, and they'll be able to select which account they wish to view from there. And going forward, your clients will log in via panoramainvestor.com.au. And now they've registered for online access, they can also access Panorama on the mobile app for smartphones. And this is downloadable from either the App Store or Google Play. And like I said, we'll talk about that a little bit more in just a moment. I mentioned earlier, what about clients who don't register for online access? Look, it's not compulsory. Their account will still be operational post-migration. Advisors can place trades and things like that. However, your client won't be able to view their account online. And there's certain functionality that they might not be able to use, such as providing online or digital consent, which we'll talk a little bit about as well, and things like approving new linked bank accounts as an example. But the account is certainly still operational. Okay, we might go to the next slide. Yep, thanks, Matt. So with your clients moving from wrap to Panorama, they'll of course have questions of you, their advisor. Why is this happening? What's my new experience going to be like? How different is Panorama to what I've been used to with wrap? So we're confident that the tools and these preparation webinars that we're providing for you will certainly equip you with the right answers for your clients. Obviously, in relation to the why question, you'll hopefully be very comfortable to let your clients know that we've developed BT Panorama as a contemporary wealth platform, so to deliver to the needs of yourself and, more importantly, the evolving needs of investors, your clients. So, and our goal is to ensure that you and your clients have access to the best platform experience. It's both simple and efficient to use. So how is Panorama different to wrap from a client perspective? Well, the flyer for investors that you can obtain from your advisor Migration Hub certainly covers exactly this. And over the next short period, I'll take you through this flyer in a bit more detail, outlining the benefits of Panorama for your client. So we've got that on, Matt's got that on the screen right now. And this is a flyer that you can certainly share with your clients. You can access this from your Advisor Hub under the Documents and Downloads link, and then you can expand out to the Migration Toolkit. It's just simply a two-page document, client benefits broken down into 6 sections. Now I'm going to walk you through each of those key points on the flyer, the client benefits of Panorama, but I will point out that most, if not all of these, are covered and explained in a lot of detail for you, more than we have time for today, in our Panorama eAcademy training portal. So the modularized video courses really get down into the detail of explaining each of these that I'll outline for you now. I'll again cover the eAcademy training portal, so the Panorama training portal, in a moment, but well worth highlighting from the outset that you and your team has really got resources at your fingertips there to really understand Panorama, not only for your business, but for your clients as well. Okay, might just go to the next slide. Thanks, Matt. So in terms of benefits for your clients, let's firstly consider the customer experience, so your client's experience with Panorama. So the ability for an enhanced sharing of the same portfolio information, valuation, trades, transactions, not only between yourselves and your clients, but also with collaborating accountants with investment accounts, especially relevant in relation to SMSFs. Now, I'll also mention the mobile app. I mentioned that earlier. It is well worth highlighting this already award-winning smartphone technology in terms of the client experience. So the app is available for not only you advisors, but also clients. And in terms of your client, some stats go a long way to illustrating the value and take up and overall client acceptance of the mobile app. We know that around over 4 in 5, about 80% of interactions with Panorama from clients are occurring via the mobile app, as opposed to logging onto the desktop or internet login. So it really is market leading, intuitive and engaging technology. And for those client usage data and feedback we receive only support that. So again, the mobile app can be downloaded for your client and begin use as soon as they register for online access to Panorama. Next thing is Panorama uses paperless processes where possible. So online straight-through processing means transactions are placed and money moved quicker than before with an electronic paper trail rather than physical pieces of paper. And that sort of leads nicely into the next point, which is Panorama's engaging digital consent functionality. So this is where advisors can complete processes online, things like investment trades, adding bank accounts, portfolio rebalances, before electronically sending to your client for review and their consideration and digital or online consent to approve. So processes that may or may not also include accompanying advice documents or an ROA. So some great, wonderful, fast, simple and engaging functionality for your clients there. They can also engage with that digital consent via the convenience of their mobile app. So it really is a strong extension of that mobile app functionality. Now, another Panorama enhancement over wrap is the document library. Now, this is available for not only advisor, client, but also, again, your collaborating accountant if you're collaborating with them over SMSFs and the like, and also Panorama. So BT will use it to drop documents into, as an example, annual statements and the like. So this is a safe and secure place for each party to upload, download, store, and share paperwork relating to your client's wealth. And conveniently, documents can also be organised, so date stamped, marked for audit purposes, categorised appropriately, and even made private if you'd like that for certain documents. And the last point there in relation to investment options, wrap obviously provided you with cash, term deposits, managed funds, listed securities. Panorama, of course, also does that with an improved experience where possible, certainly around term deposits as an example, plus fully developed managed account capability. So it includes ready-made SMAs, tailored portfolios, and also advisor portfolios or models built and run by yourselves. So there's a lot there in relation to an overall enhanced client experience. And Matt, if we can just move on to the next slide. Okay, so thanks. Let's have a look now at your client's view or visibility of their portfolio. So this is with online access. Obviously, they'll have to have registered for online access as part of the migration process to gain the benefit of this. But once they do, they get 24/7 access to their portfolio with much the same view that you have as the advisor has. I guess just with a bit of a client lens over that. So portfolio valuation, allocation, performance, transactions, and the like. Now you'll see this in the What Does My Client See modules in the Panorama training courses, but the client's portfolio is certainly presented to them starting with a rolled up, more high level view, and it provides them the opportunity to click through or dig deeper in relation to certain aspects to really gain the detail that they require. If they want to get down to granular clarity, they can, but it really does provide that option for your clients as to the depth which they understand their portfolio. And this is well represented in the training modules, but in particular the performance and asset allocation are classic examples of this leveled approach when it comes to portfolio details, with clients being able to, I guess, firstly look at an overall portfolio performance, but then drill down into asset classes or even underlying assets as required. So that's a little bit about portfolio visibility for your clients. I might just go to the next slide, Matt. Yep, thank you. So when it comes to transacting, you'll be obviously placing investment trades for your advised clients. However, there is the flexibility with Panorama when it comes to making payments out of Panorama. So you can agree with your client or clients that might be party to an account what both of your and your client's permissions are in relation to making payments out of their Panorama cash or transaction account. Again, this is very well covered in both the account opening and also the transactions and investment courses in the Panorama training portal for further understanding on this. But for your Panorama investments clients, they can have a setting of either, or you can agree with this, no payment ability at all. They can make payments to linked accounts only, one of 5 linked accounts only, or the full payment ability is to be able to make payments out to pay anyone and BPay billers as well. So a lot of flexibility there. And similarly, you as the advisor can also have your own account setting and agree with your clients to meet the needs of the relationship that you have with them. So Panorama cash or transaction account, I mentioned that just a moment ago, it does have a distinct BSB and an account number for each of your clients. So you've got the convenience of being able to transfer funds or the client does to the account electronically, just like any bank account. So you can certainly have that flexibility. And you can transfer funds easily to and from a client's Panorama account as both a one-off or periodic payments, depending on the account type. And all these transaction features are all about helping it, I guess, make it easier for you and your clients and simpler to move funds around the way that suits you and your clients. Might just go on to the next slide. Thanks, Matt. Great. So many of you will have SMSF clients, and there's some real enhancements for you with Panorama and your clients that are in this sort of area. Now, in the first instance, Panorama's overall SMSF offer and solution is very modular in approach. So that's the first point. And what that means is that you can pick and choose the components that suit your business and importantly your clients. So firstly, there's an optional, and it is optional, SMSF administration service that your clients can apply for, where upon approval, BT can actually take over the administration, tax and audit for the fund, really helping keep your clients SMSF compliant and on track. Again, it's the option. You may have an accountant or a administration provider you're dealing with. That need not be a problem, but it is there as an option for you. Now, for SMSFs, more than any other account type, I guess external or non-Panorama assets are often very important and relevant in relation to an overall and holistic portfolio view for the fund. Could be, for example, a direct property, overseas assets, maybe term deposits or listed securities held off platform. In any case, Panorama provides the ability to enter external assets manually or as an extension over wrap automatically by way of an SMSF accounting software connection. So if your collaborating accountant is using either Class Super or BGL Simple Fund 360, they can be set up for Panorama access and then approve a link to their accounting software. And what that does is that enables a daily data feed of things like external assets, fully viewable on Panorama for a total portfolio or fund view. So really good and strong SMSF features built into the Panorama offering. So components of these features are available also in the monitoring and reporting course in the training portal, but much of this detail will be explored in the soon to be released SMSF solution video training course as well. So please keep a lookout for that. That will be coming soon, especially if SMSFs are a core component of your business and client base. We can just go on to the next slide. Thanks, Matt. And crucial in moving to a largely online and contemporary platform is the security aspect. So your clients should be comforted to know that Panorama uses what is an industry accepted two-factor authentication solution for remote user access. So this provides, I guess, an extra layer of protection when using online accounts, leading to the minimisation of risk and potential cyber attacks. Panorama has various procedures in place designed to reduce the risk of systems not working effectively and also to be able to respond promptly should any problems arise. And there's also strong controls that we've got in place for monitoring procedures in relation to any fraud detection. Certainly more information can be obtained from your BT contact on this, on security and risks, and the disclosure documents do contain further information that can assist in that regard. Okay, if we go to the next slide, thanks, Matt. Yep, great. So good time to recap on the support points for both yourself and your clients that will assist with migration. And the next slide, thanks, Matt. Yep, so the Advisor Hub. So as I've mentioned, the digital Advisor Hub that you have for migration is designed to be your central source of information. We've covered this before in previous sections, but it's well worth recapping. We'll keep it right updated throughout migration for you. And this is the website address or URL that you tip is there to save it as a favorite. You'll be using this very regularly. And through this hub, you can access a range of tools such as frequently asked questions, access to Panorama tutorials and training as well, and view all migration related announcements and updates. Just on to the next slide. Thanks, Matt. Yep. And so I've mentioned this already. So the Panorama training portal, you can access this from the Migration Hub on the bt.com.au site. You'll firstly need to register for it, but once registered, you've got access to all of the courses. There's 5 courses already there, with the 6th one coming very soon, covering things like navigation, opening accounts, transacting, reporting, and the digital consent feature that I've already talked about earlier. And as I mentioned, we're continuing to evolve this site, releasing more courses as we approach and accompanying migration for you. So each of the courses broken down into shorter bite-sized modules, all viewable on demand at a time that suits you. So, and I think very relevant for this particular migration webinar, each of the courses contains a separate video considering not only how you did it on RAP, but also what does my client see? So you've got a really good short video there to really see for each of those courses, what does my client see in this regard? And you can have an understanding for what their experience is. So very encouraging to see now we've got almost approaching 400 advisors and support staff already registered for this Panorama trading portal, taking advantage of the tools that were built and got available for you. If you haven't already, encourage you and your team to join as soon as you can. And next slide. Thanks, Matt. And for your clients in relation to migration, they've obviously got yourself to help them through and BT as a contact, but they also have an investor digital hub to assist in their migration journey. You can access this via your advisor portal, and you can share that link with your clients. And this site does provide your clients with information for them about the migration process, frequently asked questions from a client perspective, documents, downloads, and contact points. But that's pretty much it for me. I've hopefully covered a bit there from the client perspective. I'll pass back to Tim now, and I think we're going to have the opportunity to answer any of the questions that have come through. Thanks, Tim.
Perfect. Thanks, David. I really appreciate that. And thank you to everyone for your questions coming through, which is great. So I'm just going to work my way through those, and we've got a few people joining us, or a couple of extra people joining David and myself, being Jason Brown, known to many of you as Head of Account Management, and also Gary, who those of you who have been involved with these migration webinars in the past and would know that Gary, as Head of our migration product expertise, can address a number of these queries as well. So I'll just work through them, and as I said, we should be able to cover these all off in the next 20 minutes. Glenn Baker, good morning. I know this would be in future tranches. However, what is occurring to those clients in RAP Essentials? Excellent question, Glenn. At the moment, RAP Essentials is slated for tranche 4, as we said in late May. But RAP Essentials clients will be migrated across to Panorama Compact. They will come across all of the funds that are on RAP Essentials will be available on Panorama Compact, and so they'll be able to continue to use those that they're already in, and also have access to all of the other funds and TDs and cash options that are in Pano Compact. They'll move across. Anything that's linked with them will come across as well. For example, the life insurance policies, particularly advantageous for those where we've got the older policies that were unable to be cancelled and reissued. So you'll be able to move them onto the contemporary platform as well. One of the key benefits with respect to that is that there'll be no admin fee as such for RAP Essentials clients when they make the migration through to 31 May 2022. So there'll be no additional admin fee. That gives you a year in your review cycle as such to look at those clients, work with them as you review them, and determine if that's still those funds are where you want them to be, or if you want to utilise some portfolio rebalance options that are now available to you with the broader list under Panorama Compact. And the other benefit, of course, with the reduced MERs, is, as you've seen from 1 January, with the grandfathering legislation removing those trail commissions and returning that back to the clients as benefit. And the other advantages of those migrating accounts from Wrap Essentials will have a $500 minimum cash function in their compact option. So some good outcomes there, and that's coming, Glenn, in tranche 4 in May. Janelle Jeffries asked, can you indicate what tranche count practices will be migrated? At the moment, Janelle, the count badges, as I said, subject to change, but we're not looking to change them if there's no issues, but set for tranche 3, so late April we're looking for there. Anthony writes, hi there, I haven't received an answer to my question from last session. I'll take that on board, Anthony. I'll cop that one. My apologies. I don't know why I haven't responded yet, but my apologies for that. But I'll also thank you for your continued attendance at the webinars. Obviously, you're finding them useful, which is excellent. Do overseas clients or expats need a valid POA when they migrate from from Wrap? Yes, we do like clients to have that valid power of attorney. I think you mentioned a bit further down that it wasn't required on Wrap. There were some changing, requirements which does actually require them to have that on Wrap. And if we weren't migrating, we would be following you up for those particular clients or any advisors to those clients and looking for a valid power of attorney for overseas clients. However, they will migrate across. Any existing POAs that sit with the Wrap account will migrate across, and the clients will migrate to Panorama. And we understand in this COVID world where travel is extremely difficult and trying to organise new powers of attorney signed on Australian soil, etc., is all but impossible. We understand some flexibility required there, so we're addressing that now and making sure that we cover off all of your legal and compliance responsibilities, as well as making sure that it's flexible for you and your clients. So no dramas with respect to that, and anything that is required going forward, we'll be in touch with you in advance, so no issues. Naomi Fisher, we still have all migration dates as unscheduled, and that would be on the report that we've got up. But we've heard that BT Open will be moved in March, next tranche. Are there any other updates, checks we can do to make sure we're on top of the migration dates? Thank you, Naomi. There's a few questions in here with respect to that. We haven't as yet updated the date. We've had a board delegation meeting this week just to confirm dates for tranche 2, and we hope to update those dates on that report on the desktop very soon as a result of that. But we can tell you that it is late in March, and subject to that confirmation should be March 2021, that weekend for tranche 2. So keep looking at the desktop report. We'll be updating that as soon as they're confirmed, etc., by the trustee board, who of course is your clients, the investors' representative with respect to this migration, and making sure that everything is in best interest for your clients, and doing that on your behalf. Shanna McLean, I still haven't received the spreadsheet to check what data is missing for our clients. Who should I be contacting to follow up on this? We have clients moving in tranche 2. Shanna, if you haven't received that as yet, or no one in your practice has received that, then you should contact your usual BT contact. In addition to that, I will make sure that someone's in touch with your practice after this, so that we can talk to you about what needs to be done with respect to that. Cheryl Bishop, we have a corporate code with Panorama. Will F-code mapping still be straightforward? Yes, it will, Cheryl, but we'll work through it with you to make sure that we're mapping those F-codes and have the permission structures set up exactly how you want them in Panorama. Because as we know, in Panorama, and from a previous session, we've run through that, that there are various user groups and permission settings that you can do. So we'll make sure we've got all of that correct for you when we talk to you. So again, talk to your normal BDM or BT contact with respect to that. And if you don't have one, please call in and we'll make sure that we get in touch with you. Cassie Brockway has just asked, will you be reviewing the individual client accounts and identifying any clients who may qualify for Pano Compact and migrating them to this version rather than the full version? Is there anything we need to do to arrange this? Cassie, we can't take the liberty of making that decision on behalf of a client. So we'll be mapping full service Wrap to the full Panorama offering, and Wrap Compact to Panorama Compact. So that's the natural mapping and migration. If you'd like someone that's in full Wrap to be in Compact, then you'd need to make that change yourself either before or after migration to facilitate that, because we can't just make those assumptions on your behalf. Eric Lutgard has, we've sent in our client info update spreadsheet but can't see any changes being made by BT. Excellent question, Eric. We don't actually make those changes in RAP for you. What we do is where you've sent that in, and thank you very much for being extremely diligent in getting that into us, we'll be adding that into the Panorama account that we're setting up for the client. And when they migrate, you'll see all of those in there for you having been put in. Leanne Abbott, you mentioned that the advisor notification email should have gone out for the next tranche. However, we've not received. Having checked migration client list with BT Open FCode, migration date is still showing as unscheduled. So Leanne, again, if you haven't received anything, I'll get someone to follow you up after this. Alternatively, if you want to beat me to it and contact your BDM, please do. And again, just with regard to it showing as unscheduled, we're looking to update that very shortly. So you'll see that online. Heather asks, Heather Allen, how long does the link last? I would assume that you're referring to Heather to the file share portal. It's 2 business days. So when you get that link through, you'll have 2 days to simply upload the file into it. So you don't need to request that link until you've actually finished the data. So you get the data first, emailed out to you. You make all the changes as and when you can, as quickly as you can. And then once you've done that, let us know, and then we'll send out the link for you. Will F-code, this is for Liz Horrick, will F-codes be mapped in their entirety, or can we map individual clients to different advisor codes in Panorama? F-codes will be mapped in entirety to advisor IDs on Panorama. So you may want to structure that. You can structure that from an F-code perspective, but you can't cherry pick clients, unfortunately, for the transition. But once they're on Panorama, then certainly you or the dealer group manager can reallocate clients within your dealer group between users, advisor users. So that's quite flexible, and you can do that. Karen Kavanagh, will clients only have one login for different entities they own as well, such as pension account and separate entities such as trust? Karen, they can certainly have one login. It all comes down to their unique identifier as a client, and that should be, if they have share those on RAP, then that should be shared across on Panorama and replicated. If not, then there's certainly, if they're identified differently on RAP, then they'll go across differently on Pano, but we can certainly get that those merged for you so they can have that single login for their entities. Joanna, when will we be asked to map data? Well, you should be being asked that now. So your BDM will be in touch with you. So for our tranche 3 advisors, they'll be getting out in touch with you this week and early next week, and getting that information should you require it. If you don't hear from us, then that means that there is no data gaps for you. We'll only contact you if there's data gaps with respect to your clients. And the second question for Joanna, will the full suite of investment options be available to clients once migrated? I.e. Morningstar SMAs. Joanna, absolutely, they'll be available. So your dealer group SMAs will be available through your dealer group APL, if you like, on Panorama. So everything on RAP will be replicated across for you to use. Naomi, can you confirm the transition of ongoing advice fees from RAP to Pano, and what happens if there is a double up of charges? So ongoing advice fees do carry across, Naomi, and there won't be a double up with respect to those charges due to timing of migration run and fee runs. So they'll pay their fees in RAP and then pre-migration, and then post-migration it will come out and continue on across into Panorama. This might be a good one for you, Gary. When a client reaches age 65 currently on RAP, they're auto-transferred onto a pension, and will this be the case on BT Panorama as well? Thank you. Now, Naomi, for some reason, I very cleverly said this question has been answered verbally. I don't know how I did that, so I haven't answered that verbally, so I'll throw that to Gary now to answer for you.
Yes, is the answer. So in Panorama, it's a continuation of the account when they go from super to pension, and so yeah, they can automatically convert across as well.
Right. Okay. Thank you. And perhaps while we're with you, Gary, so what is the client's default option from cash transfer on Panorama? I assume that's referring to the fact that the default for advised clients is that that there's no cash transfer functionality, that the advisor sets that for the clients. Is that correct?
I think that's what this question is referring to. We're taking all those settings across on migration, so there shouldn't be any change there. And we've got new cash sweep functionality coming in on Panorama as well to match what's available in BT Wrap.
Excellent, excellent.
That one might also be referring to the cash transfer permissions. You know, we were talking about the permissions. I'm not sure what the default. Do you know, Gary, what clients come across as the default client?
I think, as Gary said, so they'll pick up if they haven't got that functionality on Wrap, they won't have that functionality on Panorama. But it is there, Jamil, if you wish to change that and make that change for you. So. Hopefully that's addressed your question. If not, please contact us and clarify that, and we'll seek to address it. Is it possible for the dealer or advisor to regulate the reports that clients see and the level of granularity that clients see? David, do you want to?
I don't believe so. The client view is as is. There's no ability for an advisor to change settings on that. It is a different view to the advisor, and certainly the "What does my client see" videos in the training course really do give you an understanding of what that is.
Okay, and Gary, with respect to the reports that are available to the clients.
Yeah, so. Not really. The reports on Panorama are there. I mean, one of the ways that clients will see less reporting is if they haven't registered for online access. They just won't see any of the online reports at all, either on mobile or computer. They would get an annual statement, of course, but that's all they'll see. But otherwise, once they register for online access, they get all of the investor reports, the full suite that are available there. Of course, advisors have different levels of reporting to investors, so not all the advisor reports are available to investors, but all the investor reports are available to all investors across the board.
Okay, thank you. Kevin Nguyen, we have a client has an open account expected in tranche 2. However, the client list on Wrap Desktop still states it's unscheduled. Can we expect this client will be in tranche 2? Absolutely, Kevin. If all the readiness work has been done for that client, as I said, we'll be updating that client list on Wrap Desktop for tranche 2 in the coming days. Anthony, question about the POA. Hopefully, Anthony, I've addressed that for you now. As I said, apologies for that not being addressed in last session. Andrew has a question here with digital consent. Will this be hidden if this isn't used by a licensee? Absolutely, Andrew. So it's a licensee decision to allow those within their group to use digital consent, digital ROA, and all of that. And that comes down to their views and their wants and needs around their compliance requirements. So it's something that we engage with at the dealer group level. And yes, and hidden from clients, absolutely. Can you confirm migration letters to clients are only emailed to primary client, not directly to both emails? Gary, do you want to just address that one for Laurel?
Yeah. So it's important that you update the primary contact details on BT Wrap so that you're happy that it's going to the right client email. This is a bit of a big one because often people will update, the desktop software or whatever, but they haven't flowed it through to Wrap. So it's very important that you update the primary contact details on Wrap because that's the one we'll be using. I don't actually know much about secondary email contact details on BT Wrap, so let me have a look at that one and get back to you, Laurel. I don't think they're used for anything other than where we get a bounce back on the primary. I believe we use the secondary in some cases, but in the case of the significant event notice, we're just sending it out to the primary initially.
Excellent, and we'll just check on that and confirm that, and we've got a head of marketing and communications for platforms, investment operations, Jan Beeson online, so she may be able to confirm that with you, Gary. We can confirm that back. And then the last 5 minutes while we run through some more questions, I thought I was going to nail these really quickly because there was 19 at the end of the session. There's now 46. So we're doing our best to get through them, but thank you. They're all excellent questions. Chloe, what are all transaction cutoffs? I know advisor initiator rollers have been turned off, so wanting to confirm the cutoff for other transactions. Yet transaction cutoffs they're limited in number in terms of what we have to do, and the dates or timing of that pre-migration event are all listed on the advisor website, migration website, the hub. So please go and have a look at those, and they'll show things for such as cash transactions or listed securities, managed funds, those sorts of things. So please have a look at those, and you'll see that it's a matter of usually days, but for some of them it's a couple of weeks. Panorama document library tax statements are only available in PDF format. Will CSV be available in the future? I'll throw that to Gary or David, and you can fight over that one.
I'm not aware. I'm not aware of that feedback, Gary.
Yeah, I think it's all PDF. I know we've had a request for CSV from some users, so I'm just not quite sure where we're up to on that on Pano. So let me chase that one up, Martin. Thanks for the curly question. Appreciate it.
That's good. It'll be in our ongoing development list at somewhere, I would imagine, if it's not there. And so we'll get back to you, Martin, with respect to that. Charmaine, you mentioned that registration for tranche 3 will be closing in a couple of weeks. Do you have a date for that? At this stage, if we look at Friday next week, so that's being the 12th, we would really like registrations finalised by then, if we can get that done. So sooner the better, Charmaine, is probably the best answer I can give to you on that one. Let us know what we can do to help you get that happening. If a client wants to close their wrap account before migration to Panorama, is there a last date for wrap processing the requests? Gary?
Sure. You need to get the request, the actual request in as soon as possible. The way it works with migration is if an account has a pending closure, in other words, we've received all the closure paperwork already and it's still being processed, then that client would be removed from the migration tranche. So the key is to get the paperwork in at least, I think it's a week to 10 days before the actual date of the migration weekend. So just get it into us as soon as you can. Make sure it's dated the date you get it in or before that. And once it's started being processed, it will be excluded from the tranche.
Excellent. Thank you. Ben, question around tranche 2 showing as unscheduled. So we've addressed that one. Watch that space and it will be scheduled, assuming it's all ready to go. Greg Meyer, what's the default setting for transacting when clients log in? Cash investments, the default is no transacting. So clients don't have ability to transact unless you as the advisor elect to give that to them. So the default is off. A couple more minutes, Anthony. Fantastic. Thanks, Tim. So that's good. The POAs. Terry, Everiniadis, nice to hear from you. Terry, haven't seen you for a long time. Good Adelaide advisor. Note with great concern that the BT Panorama platform does not have current capability to reinvest dividends on listed securities in super pensions. What's going on? This surely need to be changed. Panorama is supposed to be one of the best. Thank you for highlighting that, Terry. That is something on our development platform with IHIN capability. We've just developed the fact that with IHIN there's 3 possible ways that you can hold in terms of ownership structure and custodial and sponsored, etc. The only platform to offer all 3. And no doubt that dividend reinvestment is on our development agenda. So you're right, we'll be continuing. We are not supposed to be one of the best. We're Australia's leading contemporary platform, and we intend to keep it that way. So thanks for that feedback, and we'll push that through into that development forum. And I will also happily contact you regarding functionality issues. Look forward to catching up with you, Terry. Heather, sorry, the link in the client email to set up their Panorama registration. The link is in that client email, David, for the registration when it goes out to them. That's correct?
That's correct. Yeah,
yes.
There's the option to confirm their email via link.
Yep, that's right. Laurel, is it true that we can still make changes, updates to our spreadsheets after we've lodged them prior to the migration weekend? There is some flexibility around that, Laurel, but I'd do it sooner rather than later, just to make sure with regard to any data changes once you've actually lodged that spreadsheet, but let us know as soon as possible. Will we be required to group aggregate clients on Panorama once the transfers occur, husband and wife? Yes, you will. We can't make assumptions as to who you would like to aggregate. There are some husbands and wives that don't want to be aggregated for whatever reason. That may be the case, but certainly, Cassie, you'll need to make that aggregation. If you currently got them aggregated for the fee aggregation on RAP with the 10% discount, etc., applying, that'll be taken into account when doing the fee favourability, but otherwise you will need to do that. Jamil's just confirmed it's a cash transfer permission, so I think we've addressed that one. And I think we're not going to get through the rest of them now at 12:31. So we'll run up to Naomi's second question there around TTR pensions. So from there forward, for everybody, we've addressed Jamil's question. He's mentioned that next. So from Naomi's question there, we'll take note of those. Emma's doing that for us as we speak, and make sure we get back to you all. So a huge thank you to our presenters today. David, thanks for all of that information. I really do suggest or that you go in and have a look at those videos. They're excellent training tools. I've looked through a number of them myself, and they're very easy to follow and useful from a practice perspective. Thank you also to Gary for joining us on the Q&A panel, and to Jason Brown as well. We didn't need you today, Jace, but thanks for being there for us as always, our National Head of Account Management. And thank you to all of you for attending. We hope that you're finding these migration webinar masterclasses useful. Certainly our attendance numbers are high, which suggests you are, and the feedback is suggesting that as well. So enjoy the rest of your day. Webinar number 4 coming up shortly, so keep an eye out for that one. We look forward to talking to you all again then. Have a great day and a great week. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.